one of the things that came to light, it's one of those things that you can't foretell. The exhaust that I'm using, which was for an SRT, I got that imported from America. It's a Corsa exhaust, or the same as what Mopar provide to the dealers. It's rather loud. I don't want it that loud for long interstate cruising, and also I don't think it will pass our emission or EPA loudness tests. We're allowed on this old 1948 a maximum of 96 decibels. So when I bought the exhaust system, I thought if I can use any of the included resonators or mufflers, then I'm ahead, because it was actually cheaper to buy the entire system than it was to buy the individual bends. And as you would have already known, I've modified it a bit, but I've been using all the bends and resonators up until now. So these are just little 4-inch round ones. So with the 3-inch pipe going through, it only leaves half an inch of packing around it. But the problem is, if I just replace those with some 6-inch ones, for instance, it's going to hang too far below the frame. It already hangs partly below the frame, but not below the spring hanger, and so I want to tuck it up a little bit. I've got the room there to put a dog leg in and redo it. So they will be replaced with a couple of Magnaflows. I really like the Magnaflows. The well known for, and what they advertise even, to knock the high notes out and keep the drone out, and get a lower notes. And I want more of an old school, lower, deeper tone. So this sounds more German than anything, or more European at the moment. I'll give you a start. It's been quite some time since I've started, but I'll give it a start, and then you can have a bit of a listen, and then I'll show you. You can see hopefully the difference when I've done the modifications. So I've got the 2 resonators and the X piece out from underneath. That was fairly easy, because I put an extra join in and used V-band clamps, because my battery sits up about this far above it. So to get my battery out once every 10 years or whatever, I need to be able to drop the exhaust to drop it out. So interestingly, these are actually just this much section of it is just perforated, and then the exhaust gas pulse goes into the outer chamber, and then comes through some slots on the inside. I doubt it, you can see it, but it's straight through for the best part of it, apart from some slots at the end. And this one here, it's packed with stainless all the way through and perforated all the way through. So that's what helps get rid of the high notes and gives you that nice low tone. But to save any loss of ground clearance, I'm doing, these were actually the kick-ups that were from the SRT when they had 2 central outlets. And I'd saved those, and so if I weld these on there, then it'll kick up and then keep the bottom of the mufflers in the same position as they were before. So that's the plan. Obviously it's going to end up, unfortunately, longer. And before I ordered these, I thought about getting, it's about 4 inches longer. I thought about getting shorter ones, but then I was worried that I wouldn't get the reduction in volume and it would still be too loud. It's one of these lotteries. You've just got to you just got to hope that you choose the right one, that you don't make it too quiet or you don't get enough of the effect. So I can cut this off about here, and then I'll put the V-band clamp on there, and I'll cut this off here and then move that up as close as I can. But as you can see, I'm still that far short. So I'm going to have to, in front of here, under the floor, I'm going to have to take a section out of that. Not only that, because the outlets are higher now, you can see that I've got no room to, I'll have to raise this as well. So the only way to do that is to cut through here, get just the right amount so these come up, which will also draw the mufflers back this way a little bit. I was hoping it'd be enough, but there's no way that's going to be enough to compensate for the differences in length. But so yeah, it's a whole, not a small project to redo this. So, but you know, that's what I'm prepared to do. I'm not taking shortcuts. I want something that's very livable long term. So that's why I'll continue with this, and hopefully you can hear the difference when I'm done and I'm pleased. So I really don't want to go through this again. Just showing it welded up for the first section. So you can see how the dog leg brings it up. So now the bottom of the mufflers are actually fractionally higher than the bottom of the tubes. So ground clearance is not lost whatsoever. Where the other one, the distance from the bottom of the tube to the bottom of the muffler here, which was about 15 millimeters, was hanging below the tube level, and now I've actually got about 5 mil of clearance there. So I've gained about 20 mil of clearance over what I had before, and so this should all work out well, even though in the long run it makes a lot of extra work when I connect that up to the tailpipes, as well as having to now remove the front section so I can shorten it to connect these back in, because I've ended up nearly 4 inches 100 mil longer by putting these dog legs in. But I think it's worthwhile in the long run. I'm not trying to rush this project at all. I want it done as best I can, and we'll keep doing it while I can. Alright, let's hope all the hard work was worth it. It was a lot more difficult than I anticipated. I knew it wouldn't be easy for the part that goes up over the axle, because it's not in a straight line, and I've raised the outlets from the rear of the mufflers. Nothing lined up there. Suddenly everything was too short. I ended up having to rebuild the passenger side completely, cutting all parts, twisting, adding, and having to redo it all. But it was definitely worth it from the point of view of clearance. I don't know if you can see that, but there's the new mufflers there, and it's all tucked up now, just above the frame. So nothing hangs down apart from, you can just make out the bottom of the flange, and I'm actually going to change those. I don't really like those ones, so I'm going to change them for some of the slip type ones. So it's all tucked up nicely. Now for the sound test. Hang on, I'll put it back here. Somewhere like that. I don't know how much you'll hear a difference, because the volume automatically sets to a specific level. So even I'll give it a rev in a sec and give you a bit of an idea, but it is quieter and lower in tone, and when you give it a rev, it doesn't have the anger that it had before. It was a bit brassy, a bit harsh. That's the best word for it. It was a bit harsh before when you revved it, and anyone in the workshop would put their hands over their ears because it was literally that loud. Alright, as I said, I'm not sure how it will come across, but hopefully I'm happy, and when my wife gets home, let's hope she's happy as well. They're the two main people that should please. Your wife and yourself with the sound, and the EPA in my case as well, but I have no doubt that this will pass the EPA now. It's so much quieter. The other thing I did is I machined up some coil spacers for the rear, just 1/2 inch, and just to give a bit of rake. It was only had a 1/2 inch of rake from front to rear, so now it's got 1 inch. So you've got to have hot rod rake. Even my other Jeep I've set up with 1 inch of rake, so when I'm towing it sits out level, and that's the way I prefer to sit them. So, and I've also got to compensate for the hard cover when I build that next. So there'll be a little bit of weight in that because it's going to be all out of steel, but it'll only be out of 0.9, so it won't weigh too much. Anyway, another stage done, and I'm happy that's behind me. Thanks for checking in.